but not everyone in Tunisia feels that they've benefited from the toppling of the old regime. Plus, the search for earthquake survivors continues in New Zealand, but death tolls continues to climb.
Welcome back to your international weather forecast. Well, across Japan, we are going to see some very heavy rain showers on Friday. As you can see, those rain showers are also bringing some warmer temperatures. We're looking at Tokyo at about 19 degrees. But as we go into Saturday, those rain showers move out into the Pacific. We get clearer skies, but the temperatures do begin to drop. You can see Tokyo about 10. And we are looking at Osaka at about 14 degrees. But some very good news in the forecast, especially for China, who has been seeing a lot of drought activity over the last couple of decades. This is the worst drought they have seen. But look at this. We are looking at snow in their forecast as well as rain. We're looking at about 60 millimeters, a little bit closer to the coast, but up to 300 millimeters of snow is going to be falling as we go inland. So that's going to be very, very good for the farmers over the next couple of days and into the next couple of weeks because they have finally some precipitation to melt. Down towards southern parts of China, we are looking at very cloudy conditions. Unfortunately, that's not going to change over the next couple of days. Temperatures stay about the same. Hong Kong at 23, Hanoi about 22. And for the next week, it's really going to stay pretty much mild, dry, and we are going to be seeing cloudy conditions there. Down towards Australia, we are looking at some very messy conditions up here to the north. Possibly a cyclone is going to be forming. We'll be keeping you informed on that. Down to the south, though, very warm temperatures.
It is in the details. A look. A connection. The moments that reveal the truth. Award-winning documentaries from critically acclaimed filmmakers. Witness documentaries to open your eyes on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. You're watching Al Jazeera. Libya's embattled leader, Muammar Gaddafi, is blaming Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda for fueling the uprising against him. In his second address to the nation since it began, he continued to sound defiant, but spoke via phone rather than in vision. There's been heavy fighting in the town of Zawiya, 50 kilometers west of the capital, Tripoli, between opposition forces and Gaddafi loyalists. Further to the west, police and soldiers have reportedly deserted the Libyan leader in the town of Zuwara, where the opposition says it's now in control. Let's just take a look at developments resulting from other protests taking place throughout the Middle East and in Yemen. A pro-independence march in the south ended in tragedy. That's when an activist was killed by a landmine. It happened in Laudar in the southern Abyan province, which is a stronghold of the secessionist movement. Egypt's former information minister is facing corruption charges. Anas al-Fiki is the fourth member of Hosni Mubarak's government to be arrested. The former state broadcasting chief, Osama al-Sheikh, has also been detained, and both have been banned from leaving the country. Well, all of these protests have been inspired by the uprising in Tunisia. Last month, anti-government protests there led to the ouster of President Zain al-Abidine Ben Ali. But many Tunisians say they haven't benefited from the toppling of that regime. Nazanin Mushiri reports.
This is a place where rebellion still hangs in the air. The words above these graves, the unemployed and the forgotten. This is at the heart of their protest. They want jobs and for the government in Tunis to stop ignoring their plight.
I feel excluded and oppressed, like I'm missing hundreds of things from my life. We see our wealth leaving this area, millions of dollars, and we are getting nothing.
The wealth is in the ground, in the phosphate mines which dominate the landscape. The government-run company makes millions of dollars a day selling this mineral abroad. Yet this is one of the poorest regions in Tunisia. In 2008, 3 years before the Jasmine Revolution, people here revolted. But their uprising was brutally suppressed. All of these men, more than 50 of them, were beaten and imprisoned.
The protests back then were censored. There was no media, no Facebook here. People were too scared to tell our story because the regime was too strong.
In the same village, we meet graduates in their late 20s who've never worked a day in their lives. They have a choice: either stay here, unable to get married or earn money, or try to migrate to Europe. This is a region on the economic and social edge of Tunisia. People here feel disconnected with events in Tunis and the country's transition to democracy. Ben Ali and his political police may be gone, but there's still a deep sense of injustice here. Ben Ali's departure is just the beginning for this new nation. The transitional government must take notice of what's happening in Gafsa. The root causes of this revolution are not resolved. Nazanin Bashiri, Al Jazeera, Gafsa, in southern Tunisia.
After 4 days of searching in New Zealand, hopes of finding more earthquake survivors are fading. The number of people killed in Christchurch is 113, with more than 200 still missing. Rescue teams are scouring the rubble, but the threat of aftershocks collapsing more buildings is hampering the rescue effort. Water, electricity and sewage remain cut off for many, and fuel even running short. Andrew Thomas says the number of dead is rising by the hour.
No good news out of Christchurch on Friday, because while the number of missing still hovers in the hundreds, the number of confirmed dead being held in a mortuary rises hour by hour. Identification of the bodies being held there very difficult. The bodies are in such bad shape that visual recognition is all but impossible. So a very slow process of trying to identify people by the clothes they were wearing and then when they were last seen, by rings on fingers, by jewellery, that sort of thing. A very slow, laborious process. At the same time, and the search and rescue operation isn't over yet, it is still ongoing, although hopes are fading to the point of disappearing, I'm afraid to say. At the same time, the logistical operation of trying to establish some kind of normal life here in Christchurch. The commercial heart of the city won't be back up and running, people are saying here, for many months. So a big operation trying to transfer that commercial operation to a different physical location. Meanwhile, trying to restore power and water. Still only half this city has water, and getting power supplies could take many weeks back to everybody. Some power cables underground have been that badly damaged.
Julian Assange has condemned the extradition system as unfair. The WikiLeaks founder says he'll appeal that after a British judge ruled he can be extradited to Sweden, where he's accused of rape and sexual assault. His lawyers argue he won't get a fair trial. He also risks being transported to the US, where he's infuriated many for leaking secret diplomatic cables. Tim Friend was at a court in London.
Well, this is a severe blow to Julian Assange and his legal team. He will appeal, of course, but he's out on bail, and he questioned the whole motivation of this case.